Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. Today I am joined by two very talented musicians, songwriter, vocalist, and multi-instrumentalist Natalie London, and her partner, vocalist, and percussionist Taylor Plecity. Together, the two form the indie rock band Hey King. Taylor and Natalie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, of course. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the journey that led you two together, because what I think is really beautiful about what you do is that not only are you business partners and music partners, but you are also in a romantic relationship. So I can only imagine that working with your partner is probably rewarding, but also challenging at times. But I'd love to go back to the beginning to talk about what led you two together.
Well, we met at a event for Children's Hospital, actually, and it was just a random. It was my brother's birthday party, and Taylor came in, had just like found out she was going to it that night, and came in with like torn jeans and like a badass hoodie, and I was like, "Who is this girl?" Like across the room, like the whole world, started like twinkly lights, and so I came over to say hi, and the first thing she does is says. Do you know this? And proceeds to do like an 8-9 step handshake. That was my secret handshake with my best friend when I was like 10 years old. And I've never met another person who's done it. And she didn't know anybody else who did it either. I don't know what possessed her to do this, but we had this like long handshake moment and then and fell in love on the spot. No, but we kind of like had that moment where like, who are you? And so we started dating really soon after that, and she's an incredible filmmaker and actor, and I didn't even know like her music side, but she would be at rehearsals and stuff and for Hey King, and she would sing along, or I'd start shooting her over like little harmonies, and it was just so natural that like my bandmates, my family, everybody was like, you got to get this girl like on stage. And I was like, a lot of people I was like, but it's a romantic relationship. How is that going to impact, the business side of this? And I think with like the first show that she came up to do a few songs, like, it was just so clear to me on stage. I've never felt like more comfortable and more inspired, like ever. After like 20 years of playing, I would be able to like have my partner up there. She brought so much to it that I was like, oh, this added a whole other level of intimacy and like vulnerability and everything to the music. And so it just developed from there. Probably a year or two into the relationship, she started playing with the band full time. And it's fun. It's crazy. Like there's a lot of ups where like, to get to tour together, to like, we opened for Ben Harper on 3 different legs of international, like North American tours. And to do that together, to see all these gorgeous places and have those moments and experiences together is unreal. The day-to-day stuff, we have name tags. Like Taylor, I think, came up with this where like she started writing name tags for us.
Like, I need to talk to my girlfriend right now, or like, hold on, my bandmate is just not understanding me. Let's go talk. Or like, I need my best friend right now because my girlfriend is misunderstanding me and like totally projecting all of her anger or like anxiety onto me.
Oh my God.
Like, we know that we love each other. No, I'm talking about me.
She's like, no, you're good. You're good.
No, girl, you're good. You're good.
So Taylor, for you, how did you know that it was the right fit musically?
Oh man. Well, first of all, she wrote my favorite songs ever. Like she's written some of my all-time favorite songs that are like right up there with the music that I grew up with, like Peter, Paul and Mary and all of these like really kind of guilty pleasure like punk pop bands, like Taking Back Sunday. Since like I'm not saying that like you write like them, but I'm saying that those are like they impacted me the same way as like what I used to like just like go lock myself in my room and just like feel.
Yeah,
when you like just listen to the music and you feel. Well, her songs like slowly started becoming the soundtrack of like my everyday life. And then when you get asked to like play music by one of your favorite songwriters, it's just you say yes and then you figure it out. Because I knew I was not as like skilled and musically inclined as Natalie, so I like just dove in deep and I just like made a really like I really just wanted to like keep leveling up until I knew that I could like stand on stage with her and not like bring this project down.
What a compliment to you,
Natalie. So sweet. Oh my God. I hate when she does that because
She always talks about this, but I have to say it because it's the truth. Like, I really just like needed to get better because I'm so amazed by you every single time you play music.
That's incredible. And I love
Yeah.
that it's like you're both feeding off of each other to make each other better, which I think is a beautiful dynamic. So, what has been the most challenging aspect, though, of working together?
I think I think compartmentalizing the relationships is the most difficult thing because like I've been the leader of my band for years and years, and I arrange and I write for everybody, and I'm like I like to be in the director of the project,
For
and so
sure.
to be able to, I mean, she's been so open about that to be like, no, talk to me like you talk to our trumpet player. Talk to me like
Yeah.
if you don't like something, be like that was fucking wrong. Like do it this way. But it's just being able to like navigate that. And I think also, I think the most difficult part though is that because we live together, of course, when you're dealing with the stresses of music, they're not separated when you get home.
Mm.
You are like both going through like what just happened, or we're dealing with it at the same time. So that can make it hard. We're not very objective with like what we're going through. But in the same sense, like you always feel like somebody understands you because they're right there with you. So that there's an amazing side of that coin also.
That's great. So let's talk about your debut album that you just released, Take King. You were fortunate enough to work with an artist that I love, Ben Harper. So how was
Yes.
that? How did that connection come about?
It was actually crazy. Me and his wife were roommates for like 2 weeks in college, and then we both were like, we hate the school, and so we both left. But we
I
stayed
love that it was
really
2
tight.
weeks. I love that it was
Just
2
2
weeks.
My favorite is I think we both were like, I think we both had written the college being like, yeah, do you think we could get a single dorm because we don't even like really do that well with other people? We're very introverted. And they threw us together in the smallest dorm in the whole building with another girl, like this like crazy girl, like crazy party girl who was just like up and yelling and talking all night. And so both of us were like, we just bonded, and we ended up staying in touch and hanging out a lot in different cities. And when we were in LA, we came over to her place, and Taylor had just met her for the first time, and so we were playing her some new songs. And Ben just walked right in. We didn't even know he was home, like he hadn't been home that night, and he came in and was like, who the hell are you guys? Like, where did this come from? Jack, like, how have you not told me about them? And she was like, I've been waiting for like the right time to like, have you guys actually hear each other in person. And right off the bat, he was like, I'd love to produce a few songs for you. Let's like go do something fun together. And it went from, getting in the studio, doing a couple of tracks to being like, we hit it off so well. Musically, like we both play every instrument, and we would it was like a giant playground.
Yeah.
Him and I would be like, I'm gonna play the piano. No, I am. Okay, wait, bass. And then we'd switch and take turns. And it was just so much fun that he was like, I want to do a whole album together.
Right.
And it just kind of grew and take you guys on the road and all of that. It's been crazy.
What was it about his musical approach that may have been different from other producers you might have worked in the past? Because I know it is really hard to find that relationship with a producer that really understands what you want to do as an artist and really bring out the best of your music. Because as a singer, I've been a singer my whole life, singer-songwriter, and it took a while to find like the right relationship of the producer to work with. So why was he the right fit for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think that because we approached our music is very different, but because like he wanted to get the soul out of every song and always give us the chance to like get to the heart of it. And then I felt like he always gave me a chance to go with the arrangements that I've heard. And he was so so supportive in that sense.
And not only that, but he played a huge role in like enabling whatever she would think about as far as like arrangement goes, that like served each song individually. Like at no point in the studio for the like second half or the first half did we think about this album as a whole. We were just serving the songs as what we thought that the songs needed, and that was really cool. And something that was funny was if she was like, oh, maybe if like we had a sound that sounds similar, like a vibraphone, maybe we can find it on like a MIDI piano. And he's like, no, hold on. He'd just call someone and then there'd be a whole vibraphone in the studio in like a couple hours. Like
That's incredible.
It was really, really cool working with him. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, I was going to say, and his guitar expertise are just like
Like
amazing.
so good.
I'd want like to get a certain tone out, and I could play the shit out of a guitar, but I'm not great at like all the time. I'm really good at the producing side and the arrangement side, but like getting the certain tones and sounds, I love depending on another person to collaborate with.
Yeah.
And he would like set up these like old amps and then mic them up and run through all these different things. Like he just had a lot of fun with us, I think, in trying to find what we were looking for.
So do you feel like being women in music that you're fighting for, your voice and your artistry to be heard a little bit more? Or did you always feel respected by him and by your ideas?
By Ben, I felt like totally respected by as an artist. I feel like he has like a crew around him, like the people on the road and everything I was kind of expecting, just because of my history, to walk into an environment that would be like, who the hell are you kind of thing. And they were all like, his crew and his sound techs and guitar tech, all those guys were really, really welcoming. So that felt good. And Sheldon Gomberg, I felt like took us so seriously. He was his core engineer for a bunch of his albums, and Sheldon is just like a godsend. But we've definitely hit a few places.
Yes.
I mean, it's not been super easy across the board.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like one thing that I've been struggling with, especially as being like women in, it's kind of weird. I'm like gender queer. So sometimes I present as male, and it's very interesting when I'm presenting as male and it goes past like the stuff that I can get away with like saying and doing it feels a lot different than whether I'm presenting as a female. But currently it feels like, it feels like we have like two options. We're either not getting everything that like we want, including like information, or we're being a bitch trying to get, and then that like big label trying to get like everything that we want and we feel like we need. So I feel like, and that just goes for the industry in general. I don't think that that's just pertaining to music, but we have had that happen a lot. Where it's like we're either not getting the right treatment or the right things that like we feel like we should be having, or we're a bitch for fighting to get those things.
I mean, to the point where like we had one engineer that we worked with, and we left that studio super fast, but we went in for a couple of days when Sheldon wasn't available, and Taylor went over and went to like check something on Pro Tools, and so did I. And the guy was like, why? Like he turned the screen off and was like, why do you need to see this? And we're like,
I'm marking and I'm taking notes.
What channel is that on? And she's taking notes so that we can fix it in post. And like he could not understand why we would want info, like why. And there was like a bad situation with him, that guy, and Rebecca also, who like our violinist, and our violinist is incredible. And so there's a couple moments where you're like, oh, right, this is a thing. Because I feel like music is so genderless that you forget that is an issue, right?
And especially like up till that point for all of the happening in pre-production, it was like really freaking solid. Like on the road with Ben, all of his crew, like we never had any of that prejudiceness. And it was just like, yeah. I mean, overall, like we're definitely like coming into it right now, but this has been such an exciting journey. It's really hard to just like catch on that side of things. It's not that it's not happening, but it's really difficult to spend the time that stuff needs to be acknowledged, because it's just so exciting overall. Like,
right. And you want to focus on the positive.
Exactly.
If you focus on those situations, it's going to take away from any form of success that you have and just the enjoyment of making music.
Boom.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've definitely been in those situations before, and it's hard to know when you should speak up, how you like go through this checklist. Okay, how do I say this so I'm not being viewed as a bitch? How do I say this so I'm not being viewed as aggressive? And, and I'm sure, as a woman of color, my situation is probably even more different than yours.
I was just going to say,
so it's really, it's frustrating because I do feel women are still fighting, specifically in the music industry, just certain perceptions or, certain stigmas. And yeah, I don't know when we're going to get past that, to be honest.
Come on.
Yeah.
I know, right? It's like, it's 2021. Come on. So I want to talk a little bit about your music as a whole, because for me, music is just a language I think that everybody understands, and I personally love being exposed to different genres and trying to really decipher what people are trying to express through their music. So if somebody sits down and listens to your album, what is it that you want them to take away from it, and what do you want them to feel?
I mean, for me, what I'm looking for is the same stuff that music gave me as like a kid. I feel like being affirmed for the emotions that you are having, and I felt like that was such a huge role that that played in my life. Whether I was angry or grieving or whatever it was, I felt like I needed that acknowledgement that that was okay to feel, and it was very cathartic for me to go through those experiences with somebody else. And I always felt like that was the language that I spoke best and hoped to speak in the future.
Mhm.
Was make it, giving people some catharsis, giving people some hope. I think is really important that
Yeah,
I
especially
never
now.
would have. Yeah, and in the past, I don't think I ever would have focused on that being a goal for for the album as a whole. But I think with this record in particular, and with everything everybody's going through, I really hope that it gives people some light. Taylor, you say it really well about the childhood stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the song like Lucky really does that for me. It kind of like makes you look at your younger self and being like, it's gonna be okay, even if it doesn't feel like that's a possibility right now. And I think that that's something that I definitely want people to take away from this album is like it was a mess. It can be a mess, but that doesn't mean that it can't be beautiful still.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and just road trips, adventures. I like some of my favorite songs have been like the playlist of just like on adventures or like driving through cities and just new terrain. And I don't know, I think that that would be really cool, like if someone else was listening to our music the way that I used to adventure out to other artists.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
paying it forward in a way. You were
Yeah.
influenced by music, you want to influence others. I love that. I think that's beautiful. I talk about social justice and mental health and identity a lot on this show as well. And being two female musicians that are also in a relationship, do you find yourself advocating for the LGBTQ community through your platform, or do you try not to mix your personal identity with your music career? Because I know a lot of musicians choose not to have an intersection between the two, and I respect that. It's to each their own. But what has been your personal choice?
Hmm. I feel like the the route that I always felt like I was taking when it came to like LGBT matters and art, for at least for me specifically, was that you kind of change people's mind more in this realm by example, where we had people after Half Alive came out, that was like the first music video that was very like focused on our, romantic
Yeah.
side.
That was our
like,
babe. That was our
out
first music video, though. Like we decided to balls to the wall. Like we are gay, and I think that that played a huge role
This is beautiful. Yeah.
in starting it out too. And then, like a few months later, we released the music video for "Beautiful" because during quarantine we weren't able to play shows. So what we really strived to do during that time was to create music videos, like and put all of that creativity, like angst because we weren't able to go out and play live music into like developing, conceptualizing, directing and editing like these music videos. And that was a lot of fun. And then it was a lot of like because I feel like if you would have asked me that like 2 years ago, does your identity play in the art that you make, I would have been like, no, but like I'm who I am. And so like if that like gets into it, like that's just me. And now I can't answer that like that anymore. Like I feel like
You can't separate
yes.
the two at this point.
Oh yes.
you can't,
Yeah.
and we have people reach out
Yeah.
that were like either had been very religious in a particular way, that were like, I've always heard the term love is love, but I feel like until I actually saw this and listened to the music and watched you two, now I get it. And like that changed, and that was beautiful. We
That
didn't
was
expect
huge.
that so early on. And so I think that politically in that way, I think that's the extent on the LGBT side of it,
Yeah.
musically, of just
Yeah.
like let it speak for itself a little bit. That hopefully we touch people and then they are like, oh, I'm touched by somebody who's gay, and maybe that changes your mindset a little bit.
Right. But also, I think in terms of representation, you're definitely giving a place and a voice to people that may think that they can't create music because of what their identity is. So I think that it may feel like a lot of pressure on you, but it's a beautiful thing what you both are doing, because you really are opening up doors for other people.
That means so much. Thank you.
Of course.
I know one of the songs "Morning" that's on there. I remember when I first wrote it, I was so scared to put "If you're not her, please be gone in the morning." I remember just putting like "If you're not them," like trying to leave everything gender neutral. And just making that shift. Like I never realized how many people that affected by being able to be like, oh, I can sing a love song about, or I can hear that, because that made such a difference to me growing up, hearing songs like that and being like, oh my God, like I relate.
Oh man, if songs like that existed when I was still in high school, I probably wouldn't have been closeted until my 20s. Like I really feel like I knew that something was up. Like I knew it. I would fall, like I would have these crazy like love imaginary romances between like Scully from X-Files and like things that like should not have happened.
Right.
With, you know, and I was in a small town, very conservative state, Arizona. Like it was just a mix. Thank you. You understand?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you got out, girl.
Yeah, man. Right? And then it wasn't even until like I distanced myself like physically that I was able to like get that like emotional like break from it and be like, okay, let me like have a chance to listen to myself. And I feel like there's no, I don't think that the song should just speak for themselves. I think that the people behind them speaking should be speaking as well.
Yeah.
Like,
but also lets people know that their experiences are valid. Like you said, if you had known in high school or heard that type of music, things would have been different for you. So that's why I say what you guys are doing, what you ladies are doing is very important, because you are allowing people to live in their truth. And the more people that feel more comfortable, vulnerable people are with their truth, hopefully this world will change. I know we're a long time coming, but I am hopeful, because the conversations that are happening now, just about racial recognition, about identity, about pronouns, like all of that stuff is positive and it is headed in the right direction. It's taken literally forever, but I'm glad that we're here. I really am. So let's talk about the pandemic a little bit and how that affected you guys.
I love the little shoulder thing. I don't think people can see this, right? But that was super cute. The little like
let's talk about the
thing.
pandemic, because personally for me, I mean, yeah, it sucked not being able to perform. It sucked not being able to go out, but I realized how much of a homebody I was. Like, I really, truly did. I mean, again, if I never want to do another like Zoom concert if I don't have to, but I like really personally enjoyed the break from doing live performances. But I'm curious how you guys felt about just having to hit pause on that life of like touring and performing.
Yeah, I absolutely loved being able to hit pause when it came to life. I struggled a lot, and I know Natalie does too, about like having to hit pause when it comes to playing live music. Mm-hmm. Like that's the one thing that would have made an huge difference with the pandemic, is if we still had live music, but when it came down to lockdown, we were so fine. In fact, I want to say that we were striving. Like it was like I'm very introverted as it is, and it was just like this ability to be still, but be allowed to be still, like by jobs, by country, by like it was a good thing to just not leave, not move. And wow, like I think Natalie and I, like we created some of the coolest shit during the pandemic.
That's so cool.
Like we just were like, we were taking
and watched a lot of reality TV, but still.
Yes, we were talking about our love for Married at First Sight. Which if you haven't watched, if you're listening, dive in to the hot mess of the show, because you will binge and you will not even believe what you're seeing.
It's so good.
It's so good, but it's so bad at the same time. Like I think about it, I'm like, they're actually like kind of ruining these people's lives if you think about it.
So has TLC. TLC's ruined every family's life that's ever been on those series. From even like Sister Wives is like a guilty pleasure of mine, and like half of my Twitter feed I think is about Sister Wives when it's supposed to be about the album coming out. I'm like, yeah.
You're like, we released the album, but Sister Wives.
But Cody Brown's a fucking asshole. Yeah, let's get to that.
Hilarious.
I'm sorry, Leah.
I totally agree. I feel like missing I never realized how big of a role performing and mainly just like being in a room with other people sharing music impacted how my love of music until the record came out last week. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is so cool. And it's awesome to have like the Rolling Stone article, like the things that are coming out are dope, but you're like, that's not the same as like being in a room with 50 people, even in like a living room set, and just being able to exchange like consciousness, like just being together.
For
I
sure.
feel like it's such a huge part of why I love this, because I am super introverted in every other aspect of my life. Like I'm totally fine to be alone or with Taylor like for weeks and weeks on end, but I didn't realize that for music, that's a part of how I interact with the world. And so that being gone is very, makes this whole experience very strange.
I bet. So what's next for you both then? So you've released the album. What are you looking forward to throughout this year?
I mean, if the world is opening back up, we're getting our second vaccine in like a week or so.
Congrats.
And hopefully that
congratulations.
Getting back on the road, you know? I think the traveling part of it is what I'm looking forward to most. Mm-hmm. If record stores open back up and we're able to do even like small shows or living room shows or tours, anything that's like getting back to the world on the music side of it.
Yeah.
What, Taylor?
Oh, girl, we are so opposite.
Really? You don't miss the
I'm
road?
loving this.
I've driven across the country 13 times.
But like, I don't trust that road anymore.
It's true.
I mean,
it does make you kind of approach things a little more cautiously now, right?
True. I mean, I feel very, very fortunate and grateful to be getting like second shot soon. But like, you know, it's just, you know, there's just all that random fear. And I was already like super afraid of life in the outdoors, like prior to COVID. I'm not even kidding. I don't even know. Like, I couldn't even like walk to my, like, road rage. Haha. Our song Road Rage. I couldn't even watch my car at night.
That's
like,
one of the videos I watched.
Nice.
Man, like I was terrified. Like I'm so scared of life that the idea that it might be reopening is terrifying.
Like you love stuff where like when we'd be on the road, we would go play like, I think some of our favorites were like Missoula, Montana. We would play
but nothing's safe anymore. And nothing's safe anymore in my head.
Okay.
Everything from like anime conventions, comic conventions, like the things that I would really love to go do when the world
conventions
reopens.
I could see, because that's like really densely populated.
That's terrifying to me.
Too much. I feel like if they have like a limited on capacity, I would feel better. But I'm kind of with you on this, Taylor.
Hell yeah. No, but it's not even just like the fear of the virus now. It's the fear of the storming, I don't know how political I could get, but like shootings to just be straight up. Like there's now not safe grocery stores adding to the like forever long list of everything from schools to like movie theaters. Like when the world opens up, imagine how many people have just been waiting to like, I don't know.
Destruction.
It's scary. It's so
scary.
And
I feel like,
and no one thinks that it matters anymore either.
Right. And that's my concern really, is that, okay, we've had a year, basically. What have you learned? How are we going to change as a society? How are you going to change as a person? And my fear is that people didn't learn anything. You know,
people just waited. Yeah. People were just pent up and like just were mad during the election time. Were mad during the like great social justice movements time, and then just just waiting until that thing is like, okay, you can go now. And then I don't know what's going to happen, but that scares the shit out of me.
I'm trying to be all hippie, lovey-dovey crap with like, we would go play shows and then they would invite us back to like, because we don't have any money. So we would go sleep on people's like couches that were in the same city. We'd play these like 5,000 person venues and then go be like by a bonfire and go play for like a house show in exchange for like having a place to stay.
Dude, we had the best like, yeah, babe, we had the best like road tour like mentality. We would just like drive, and then on the cities that we had shows in, we would exchange like tickets for like crashing at their place. Mm-hmm. And then the cities that we had like buy days, we would throw huge ass like house concerts. We would hit them up on like Facebook or like whatever social media they were using, or couch surfers, and be like, hey, we're a band. We can exchange A, B, C, or D if you let us sleep on your floors, couches, beds, anything. And like we played for this whole high school football team one time. And like,
wow,
that was awkward.
Yeah, that was amazing. We had no idea. She's like, oh, my son will be home in a little while. He's bringing a few friends. 30 people later, like all in uniforms. It was really fun.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that stuff is really cool. I really miss it. I wish I wasn't.
If
so
Trump would have gotten back into office, I would have left the country.
I think a lot of people actually would have, like,
know.
legitimately.
Yeah, legitimately. We were looking, because I'm a Canadian citizen still, and
Okay.
I was speaking to lawyers and trying to figure out how to get Taylor
You
out
were
of here.
making that game plan.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know where all those people went. I mean, it's half the country, so she's right. I mean, we don't know what we're looking at when we get back out into the world.
Especially us, dude. We're too queer.
Yeah, but
girls.
we're lucky. We're not even facing half the things.
I know.
So who's your target demographic musically?
I have no idea. Whoever likes our music.
Whoever likes
our music.
I mean, you're gonna find people that are gonna latch on, and I'm sure people already have, just based on the views and based on the music I've heard, I've enjoyed, So I get that. You're like, whoever likes it, you're gonna like it, and honestly, whoever does like it, that's who your fans are supposed to be. It's not, music is not for everyone. It is very specific. It's a niche. So I do love that answer.
Right.
Well, it has been great chatting with you. Can you let everybody know where they can follow you and where they can stream your new album, Hey King?
Absolutely. You can see the album or hear the album everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, everything. We're at Hey King Band. So Hey King Band's our handle on, I think, everything. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. But definitely YouTube has all of the things that we worked on all year, all of our music videos.
Yeah, but they're on the anti site. But if you just type in Hey King, a playlist with all of our music videos should pop up.
Amazing.
I would really love people to go and watch the videos just because it was something that
Road Rage was fun. I should just watch that one. That was a cool one.
Really?
That was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was a
We had
blast.
some amazing people come out to do that one.
It was really, really cool. I loved the concept.
happy.
So congrats on that.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
It was like
Of
a
course.
Zoom world, but for a music video.
Hey, you had to do what you had to do last year, right?
Right.
You made it work.
Uh-huh.
Well, thanks again for joining me, and make sure you guys all go follow them and stream their record that is out now on Anti Records, and make sure you subscribe to We Need to Talk, and we'll talk to you again next week. Bye.